We have to stand together against this because we're hearing more and more rumors that China plans to buy even more farmland right here in the good old US of A. In the United States, China's buying our farmland. Now, let me ask you guys, do you believe that foreign nationals should ever be able to own land in our country? I mean, we can't necessarily own land in their country. How is that fair? Land that we all know is very close to our military bases.
In Montana, fears about the security threat from China have been growing ever since that Chinese spy balloon soared across its famous big sky.
The Chinese spy balloon was right above us. That woke a lot of people up.
And it's not just worries about America's vulnerability from the air. Now, one of Montana's senators is pushing to keep the Chinese government from buying land nationwide.
China is not our friend right now, and the Chinese Communist Party wants to do bad things.
Senator John Tester is proposing a ban on entities with ties to China and 3 other foreign adversaries from buying American farmland and wants to beef up monitoring of land transactions to foreign buyers.
Do you agree with Tester? I believe this bill was introduced in earlier this year, by the way, which is basically just a month after this clip of John Kirby came out where he asked about these purchases.
I wanted to follow up on a question I asked you in September. In light of the Chinese spy balloon incident, does this administration consider Chinese land purchases near U.S. military bases a national security threat?
We are always concerned about potential foreign collection near or around our military sites. And you're right. Last week is a good example of that. We take that seriously, whether that's terrestrial related or whether it's from the air. And I think I'll just leave it at that.
Would you be working perhaps with Congress to put in place legislation to prevent that kind of
We are
ownership?
always willing to work with Congress to address our national security interests and threats as best we can.
Well, there you have it, folks. The White House thinks that China buying up all of this land in the United States that's conveniently located near our military sites is a national security threat. At least that's what it sounded like, right? So now I go back to the first question. Should foreign nationals, specifically ones that our country considers, and I gotta say the term considers in this context as, kind of questionable, but yeah, should foreign countries that our federal government considers to be threats be allowed to buy up land in our country? Like, that doesn't make any sense. But maybe I'm off base. Maybe I'm smoking something. And while you're commenting your answer on that one, please take a quick second, drop a quick like for the video. Also subscribe for your daily dose of the truth. Appreciate that, guys. But moving on, it feels like our country has this huge kick me sign that's taped to our backs. Y'all know what I'm saying? I mean, heck, it's like it's embedded into our dollars already. Like, the dollar has a huge target on it and the BRICS nation is seeing red. You guys remember that they're planning to introduce a brand new currency that is backed by gold, right? And this isn't good news for the US dollar that's propped up by, kind of propped up our faith that it's worth something, because it ain't backed by gold. There's also more bad news since the BRICS summit just introduced a few new members who have a lot of sway within this whole global landscape here.
We have decided to invite the Argentine Republic, the Arab Republic of Egypt, the Federal Democratic Republic of Ethiopia, the Islamic Republic of Iran, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, and the United Arab Emirates to become full members of BRICS. The membership will take effect from the 1st of January 2024.
Well, that's interesting. I mean, like, what can I say to that? Will this further push the dollar out of the US global currency scope? It's possible, although it's going to take a bit more time. Will this further create more tension between the US and the BRICS nations? Most definitely. But don't worry, folks, we're in a great spot. Gas prices are down, the cost of living is cheap, and our wages are finally keeping up with inflation. Not. I mean, if we're really in a good spot like that, will we really be seeing updates like this?
Phone company T-Mobile is set to lay off 5,000 employees. That's about 7% of the company's total staff. The T-Mobile CEO made that announcement earlier this week. The layoffs will happen gradually over the next 5 weeks.
What can I say? Jerome Powell and the Fed warned us about this. And did anybody listen? I know I did. But this is why you just can't think that you're safe. You can't just rely on one paycheck. You can't rely on one source of cash flow. You need to understand that we're going through a phase that not many of us have gone through before. The system is failing us, and it's clear that at least some folks are wise to what's happening right now. So who are these people? people over 50. I mean, 75% of them are already worried about how Social Security may become insolvent within their lifetimes, meaning that their Social Security benefits will eventually run out and they'll outlive their money. They'll be left with nothing and probably forced to rejoin the workforce.
Many older adults are now returning to the workforce. And our 2 America's 7 Action News reporter Amira David has a look at how one grandmother is rebranding herself and has an expert's take on why now may be the best time to unretire.
Most people driving a 50-foot truck are young, white, and male. So with Christine Smith sitting behind the wheel, she stands out.
I'm almost 60. I'm gonna change my whole life and I'm gonna do something that I would have never thought to do before.
Christine retired from corporate America almost a decade ago.
I just wanted to slow down. The economic environment that we're living in now, you have to learn how to kind of go with the flow. Either you bend or you break.
But there's no breaking this grandma, who today is bending by going back to school at the Detroit Training Center.
He's doing what you call a 90-degree turn
to get certified as a trucker.
Oh yeah, Social Security may very well have failed them. All right, show of hands right now. Anybody here who thinks that Social Security cuts may happen within the next decade? I mean, how about those that think that nothing will be done to protect retirees? And lastly, how many of you think that our current administration will actually do something for one of the most important programs that Americans pay into? I mean, back in 2014, only 66% of adults thought that Social Security would run out within their lifetimes. A very different story than what I just told you guys. By the way, if you own a home, make sure your home is protected. Never be caught off guard by another very expensive home repair again. Get your free home warranty quote. There's a link in the description down below. It only takes like 10 seconds. Now guys, just look, this just shows that we cannot rely on the system. It's pretty messed up. But if you ask me, what can we do? I would suggest to our lawmakers to not just talk the talk. They should walk the walk. You know what I'm saying? Because they keep saying that they care. They keep saying that they'll do something, but talk is cheap, right? Cry me a river. Why not have them live within the same payments as many on Social Security do? I think that the average is what, $1,700 a month right now? Let me know if you're getting more or less than that. I mean, heck, let them try to live on just $2,000 a month. They probably blow $2,000 a week just on eating out. Do you think that they would finally do something once they understood how hard it is for our retirees to live off of this kind of money? Now, again, you know, this is just an idea. I'm not the president, I'm not a lawmaker or anything, so I really can't personally push them to do something like this. But what about you guys? Do you have any suggestions into how we could possibly show them how tough it actually is? And just to smash the nail on the coffin on this one, right? Like how tough life is right now. Were you aware of how credit card delinquencies just continue to rise these days? I mean, even Wells Fargo, one of the largest banks in the United States, Wells Fargo is admitting that delinquencies are going up among commercial banks.
Credit card debt delinquencies are taking off. New credit card delinquency rates have surpassed their pre-pandemic level. That's according to the Federal Reserve Bank of New York. Now, some banks like Wells Fargo have said the surge of card delinquencies could signal a possible U.S. recession.
Possible U.S. recession? Sure, let's keep telling us that. But what are you guys' thoughts on everything that we talked about today? Seriously, make sure you guys comment them down below. And before I go, I just want to thank you guys so much for hanging out. Thanks for liking the video. Thank you for subscribing to the channel. Don't forget to get your free home warranty quote in the description of the video down below. And I'm gonna catch you guys on the next one.